My great-aunt changed her will to give everything to my cousin who visited once a year while I cared for her daily. Then my family called me greedy for being upset, so I did this. Karma had my back. I, female, 30, sacrificed everything to care for my dying great-aunt for years, and she left her entire estate to my cousin who visited once a year. Throwaway, because my cousin knows my main account, and I'm honestly too embarrassed to have this linked back to me. I'm still in shock and don't even know where to begin. Sorry in advance for the rambling mess this will probably be. I haven't slept much since the will reading. So about 3 years ago, my great-aunt Cassandra fell and broke her hip pretty badly. I was working as a registered nurse at Memorial Hospital when I got the call that she was in the ER. I immediately went to see her and realized she wouldn't be able to take care of herself after this. I initially took a leave of absence thinking it would just be for a few months while she recovered, but then one health problem led to another. Arthritis got worse, early dementia symptoms started showing up, heart problems, etc. It became obvious that she needed full-time help, and she hated the idea of a nursing home. She would cry whenever it was mentioned, so I made the decision to extend my leave indefinitely. Cassandra was always there for me growing up. When my parents were going through their divorce, I stayed with her for almost an entire summer. She taught me to bake, helped me with my college applications, came to every school play. She was my rock when I needed one. Anyway, for the past 3 years, I've basically been a full-time caretaker. It was not easy. She had 17 different medications that all had to be taken at specific times. I had to prepare special meals for her dietary restrictions. I took her to countless doctor appointments, sometimes 3 to 4 a week, helped her bathe, dress, go to the bathroom when things got really bad, maintained her house, did all the shopping, paid all the bills, everything. She used to be a high school English teacher, and sometimes she'd get confused and call me by her students' names. It was kind of sweet sometimes. Other times it was heartbreaking because she'd suddenly realize she was confused and get really upset with herself. Despite everything, we had some nice routines. Every afternoon, we'd have tea with these old teacups that belonged to her grandmother. Every Friday night, we'd watch old black and white movies. Her favorite was Casablanca. We also worked in her rose garden together when she was having good days. Meanwhile, my cousin Raymond, male, 34, who lives 4 states away in Colorado, visited exactly once a year at Christmas. He'd show up with some expensive gift, stay for maybe 2 to 3 hours max, always on his phone half the time, and then suddenly remember he had important work to get back to. For context, he's some big marketing executive making lots of money, while I basically used up my savings during my leave. I want to be clear. I never expected anything for taking care of Cassandra. I did it because I loved her and she needed me. But I guess I did always assume she'd leave me the house since we had talked about it informally several times. She'd say things like, "When this place is yours someday, don't let the developers tear it down." Or, "Make sure you keep my roses alive when I'm gone." Last month, Cassandra got pneumonia and had to be hospitalized. Things went downhill really fast, and she passed away while I was holding her hand. I miss her so much. I was the one who arranged the funeral, paid for everything, contacted all her old friends and colleagues, and hosted a reception at her house afterward. Raymond flew in for the funeral and left that same night, had an emergency at work. Then last week, we had the will reading at Mr. Benson's law office. I can't even process what happened. Everything, the Victorian house worth around $900,000, investment accounts about $1.3 million, and all other assets was left to Raymond. All I got was personal items, some photo albums, her costume jewelry, and a few old books. The lawyer mentioned the will had been changed about 4 months ago. Raymond had this smug smile the whole time and started talking about selling the house to a developer and how he could use the cash for his beach house renovation. I just sat there in shock. When I told my family how hurt and confused I was, they turned on me. My dad Donald, male 58, and Aunt Patricia, female 56, Raymond's mom, called me entitled and greedy. My dad told me I chose to help Cassandra and nobody forced me to do it. When I tried to explain that I gave up my career to care for her, Patricia said I shouldn't expect to be paid since that's not how family works. I tried to explain it wasn't about money but about recognition of what I sacrificed. Raymond claimed he had a special bond with Cassandra that I wouldn't understand. My dad suggested I was just using Cassandra to get her money, which made me start crying. Patricia added that real care comes from the heart, not with expectations. The worst part is Raymond wants to list the house for sale within a month, so I have to find somewhere to live immediately. I have basically no savings left after being on leave for 3 years. I'm trying to get my old job back, but even if I do, finding affordable housing in this area is nearly impossible. I feel so betrayed, not just by Cassandra, but by my entire family who seems to have completely rewritten history to make me the villain. I don't understand how Raymond convinced her to change her will, but there must be more to the story. He's always been greedy, but this seems extreme even for him. Am I crazy for feeling this way? Did I really do something wrong by expecting some acknowledgement of my sacrifice? I'm completely devastated and don't know what to do next. Edit. Oh my god, I didn't expect this to blow up like this. Thank you all for the supportive comments. To answer some common questions, yes, I'm definitely going to talk to a lawyer. Several people suggested looking into whether there was undue influence when the will was changed. I've already called a few offices today. No, I don't think Cassandra was fully gone mentally. She had some confusion, but definitely still knew who people were and could make decisions. That's what makes this so confusing and hurtful. The timing is suspicious. The will change happened right after Raymond and Patricia visited while I was at my nursing school roommate's wedding for a weekend. That was the only time I left Cassandra alone for more than a few hours in 3 years. Several people asked about Cassandra's friends. Yes, they're all shocked too. Her church group especially, since they saw how much care I provided. I'm going to reach out to them to see if Cassandra ever mentioned anything about changing her will. And for those asking about my grandmother, Cassandra's sister, yes, she's still alive. Her name is Wanda, and she's staying weirdly quiet about the whole thing, which isn't like her at all. I need to talk to her one-on-one. Edit 2. For those saying I should contest the will, I'm definitely considering it. I'm afraid of causing an even bigger family rift, but honestly, the bridge is pretty much burned already. I've been going through Cassandra's things, the few I'm actually allowed to keep, and I'm finding some concerning things. I'll update when I know more. Now for the first update. First, thank you all so much for the support on my last post. I honestly wasn't expecting that many responses, and it really helped me feel like I wasn't going completely insane. Sorry it's taken me a few weeks to update. Everything has been a total whirlwind, and I'm still processing most of it. So after my last post, I started packing up my stuff from Cassandra's house since Raymond made it very clear he wanted to sell the place as soon as possible. I was sorting through the few things I was actually allowed to keep. Still bitter about that, obviously, when I remembered something about Cassandra's desk in her study. She always had this one drawer that stayed locked. I never thought much about it when she was alive because, privacy and all that. But while I was packing up her books, the ones Raymond generously let me have, I remembered that Cassandra kept the key hidden in this hollow copy of Pride and Prejudice on her bookshelf. We used to read it together during her better days. Anyway, I found the key exactly where I remembered, and honestly I was just curious what she kept in there. Figured it might be important documents or something I should know about before Raymond swoops in and throws everything away. You guys. The drawer was full of journals, like decades worth. Cassandra apparently kept journals her whole adult life, and they smelled like that lavender lotion I used to help her put on every night for her arthritis. God, I miss that smell. I used to massage it into her hands while we watched Wheel of Fortune. She was weirdly good at those puzzles, even when she couldn't remember what day it was. I started reading through the most recent ones, from the last year or so. I wasn't sure what I was looking for exactly, but I felt like maybe I'd find some explanation for why she changed her will so suddenly. And holy shit, did I ever. So remember in my last post I mentioned that I went to my nursing school roommate's wedding for a weekend. It was literally the only time in 3 years that I wasn't with Cassandra 24/7. I made arrangements for a home health aide to stay with her, but apparently Patricia, Raymond's mom and my aunt, told the aide that she and Raymond would be taking over that weekend so the aide could leave. According to Cassandra's journal entries from those days, Patricia and Raymond spent the entire weekend telling her that I had been stealing her medication and money. They even showed her these bank statements with withdrawals I supposedly made. I found the statements tucked into the journal, and guys, they're so obviously fake. There's even notes in the margins in Patricia's handwriting pointing out the suspicious withdrawals. I literally broke down sobbing when I read Cassandra writing about how confused and betrayed she felt. She wrote that I had been so good to her, but Patricia showed her the proof and said they'd been investigating for months. Cassandra wrote she couldn't understand why they would lie about this. She was so confused about who to trust. I initially thought she was talking about her dementia symptoms, but no. It was because my own family was deliberately manipulating her. While I was celebrating my friend's wedding, they were destroying my relationship with the person I gave up everything to care for. There's entries about Mr. Benson, the lawyer, coming over while Patricia and Raymond were there. Cassandra wrote that she was so tired during the meeting and that Patricia helped answer the questions when she got confused. That's like textbook undue influence. I was so angry I couldn't even think straight. I decided I needed to confront them all at once. My grandmother Wanda, Cassandra's sister, hosts these mandatory family dinners every Sunday, and I knew everyone would be there. Raymond, Patricia, my dad Donald, Wanda, everyone. I made copies of the most damning journal entries and those fake bank statements. I wish I could say I was super calm and collected when I showed up, but honestly, I was shaking with anger. I waited until everyone was eating and then just dropped the journal and statements on the table. The room went completely silent. Patricia recovered first and tried to dismiss it all as confused ramblings of an old woman with dementia, but I pointed out her own handwriting on the fake statements and she turned white. Raymond tried to claim they were just protecting Aunt Cassandra from being taken advantage of, which made me want to scream. I asked him why, if they were so concerned, did no one ever mention these accusations to me? Not once in the months between the will change and her death. My dad admitted he knew about the accusations, but said he didn't think he needed to verify them because Patricia seemed so sure. What the actual fuck, Dad? Your own daughter is being accused of elder abuse, and you don't even ask me about it. And then Raymond, with this smug smile, says I should be grateful for the personal items I received. And oh, by the way, he's already accepted an offer on the house, so I need to be out by next Friday. The whole time my grandmother Wanda just sat there, weirdly quiet. Not defending me, not defending them, just watching. It was super unsettling. I completely lost it. I was crying and yelling and probably making no sense. I grabbed my stuff and left. But here's the this part from my title. I didn't just cry and give up. The next morning, I called Mr. Benson, Cassandra's lawyer, and told him I wanted to contest the will with evidence of undue influence. He seemed really uncomfortable and tried to discourage me, which now makes me think he knew something wasn't right when the will was changed. I also contacted Dr. Martin, Cassandra's primary physician, who confirmed he documented her mild cognitive decline in the months before her death. He was surprised to hear about the will change and said he would have questioned her capacity to make such a major decision without someone advocating for her best interests, which should have been me. I got statements from 6 different neighbors who saw me caring for Cassandra every day. I even have security camera footage from the house next door that shows me taking her for short walks in the garden every afternoon, weather permitted. And then I found out something really interesting about Patricia. She works at a financial planning firm and has a power of attorney license, so I filed a formal complaint with the state licensing board for elder financial abuse. I also made this website documenting Cassandra's life and our relationship, with videos we took together during birthdays and holidays. I got her church friends to provide testimonials about my care for her. Then I compiled all of this evidence and sent it to everyone in the extended family, Cassandra's church community, and Raymond's workplace ethics department. Everyone freaked out. My dad called screaming about how I was airing dirty laundry and destroying the family. Raymond sent me this crazy threatening email about a countersuit for defamation. Patricia's husband Terry called practically in tears, begging me to withdraw the complaint because it could cost Patricia her license. But I also got a ton of support. Cassandra's church friends were horrified and have been amazing about providing testimonials. Several extended family members I barely know have reached out to say they always thought something seemed fishy. And the biggest surprise, my grandmother Wanda called me privately. She said she had suspicions about Patricia's involvement, but wanted to gather more information before speaking up. She asked me to come see her alone next week. Not sure what that's about, but I'm hoping it's good news. I'm staying with my coworker Brett right now. He's a nurse from my old unit who's been super supportive through all this. My old nursing manager actually offered me my position back with a reduced schedule, so I can deal with all the legal stuff. Raymond's been sending increasingly panicked-sounding legal threats, which my lawyer says actually shows he's scared, not confident. So that's where things stand right now. I'm exhausted, And sometimes I wonder if this whole battle is worth it. Like, is pursuing justice worth permanently destroying my relationship with my dad and other family members? But then I remember Cassandra's confused, hurt words in that journal, and I get angry all over again. She deserved better than to spend her final months believing I betrayed her, and I deserve better than being painted as the villain in this story. Sorry this got so long. I'm still processing everything and probably forgot half the important details, but I wanted to update you all since your comments on my last post really helped me find the courage to fight back instead of just accepting this injustice. Edit. Wow, I step away for a few hours and come back to all these responses. Thank you all again for the support. Edit 2. A lot of people are asking about the timeline. The will was changed about 4 months before Cassandra died. I was at the wedding for 3 days, Friday, Sunday. According to the journal, Patricia and Raymond visited that Friday afternoon, showed her the fake statements, then had Mr. Benson come over Saturday morning for the will change. It was all done in literally 24 hours while I was gone. Edit 3. To those asking why I didn't notice Cassandra acting differently toward me after I got back, she actually did, now that I think about it. She was more distant for about a week, but I honestly thought it was just her dementia worsening or that she missed me while I was gone. She never actually confronted me about the stealing accusations. I think on some level she didn't fully believe them, but was confused enough that Patricia and Raymond could manipulate her. Edit 4. Yes, I did check with the aide who was supposed to stay with Cassandra that weekend. She confirmed that Patricia told her they would take over and she could leave. The aide didn't think anything of it since they were family. She feels terrible now. Edit 5. Several people have asked about Patricia's power of attorney license. Apparently in our state, she has a special certification that allows her to serve as POA for clients at her financial planning firm. The state board takes misuse of that license extremely seriously, especially in elder abuse cases. So yes, she could lose her ability to practice if they find she misused her knowledge of this process. Now for the second update. Hey everyone. Sorry it's been so long since my last update. The past several months have been absolutely exhausting with all the legal stuff, plus trying to put my life back together. There were days I seriously thought this nightmare would never end. I've probably typed and deleted this update like 5 times already because I never know where to even start. So I guess the biggest news is, we won. The judge invalidated Raymond's will. Anyway, a ton has happened since my last post, so I'll try to organize my thoughts. My nursing friend Brett has been amazing through all of this. He's basically been my rock. Even took days off work to come to court with me when things got really intense. We've gotten really close through all this, like not romantically or anything. At least I don't think so. I don't know, it's complicated and not what this post is about, so moving on. So the legal stuff, oh my God, where do I even start? My lawyer told me this was one of the most clear-cut cases of elder manipulation she'd ever seen. But that didn't make the process any less brutal. The court ordered a complete review of all of Cassandra's medical records, and Dr. Martin testified that she had definitely shown signs of early dementia during the period when the will was changed. He said she would have been highly susceptible to influence, especially from family members she trusted. But that was just the beginning. The financial investigation was where things got really crazy. Turns out Patricia had accessed Cassandra's accounts multiple times without any legal authorization. Like, she literally used a power of attorney document from some client at her financial firm to trick bank employees into thinking she had authority over Cassandra's accounts. Who does that? Criminals. Criminals do that. And then Mr. Benson cracked under questioning. He admitted he never spoke to Cassandra alone during the will change meeting. Patricia and Raymond were there the entire time and kept answering questions for her. He looked so uncomfortable testifying about it. I never wanted this to become such a huge family rift, honestly. But at the same time, I feel so vindicated that everyone can finally see Patricia and Raymond for who they really are. I know some of my family is still upset with me, though. My cousin Jennifer and Uncle Steve didn't even look at me during the hearings. I guess they're still on Raymond's side, which is just whatever, their loss. The phone records were another big surprise. Patricia had claimed she rarely spoke to Cassandra, but the record showed she called her almost daily in the weeks before the will change. And it's not like they were close before that. In the 3 years I lived with and cared for Cassandra, Patricia maybe called her 5 to 6 times total. Then suddenly daily calls right before the will change. Come on. Oh, and Raymond. His financial records got subpoenaed and holy shit. Turns out Mr. Big Shot marketing executive has massive gambling debts. Like, his home equity line of credit was completely maxed out. He was basically desperate for money, which explains a lot about why he went along with this whole scheme. Not that it excuses anything, he's still garbage. But the real turning point was when my grandmother Wanda testified. So basically, the trial had been going on for a few days, and things were looking pretty good for our side, but nothing was certain yet. Then, on what was supposed to be the final day, Wanda asked to testify on my behalf. Raymond and Patricia looked panicked when they saw her walk in. I had no idea what she was going to say. We hadn't really talked much about her testimony beforehand. She gets sworn in and starts talking about how she'd overheard Patricia and Raymond planning this whole thing months before Cassandra died. The judge asked why she hadn't come forward sooner, and Wanda said she'd been gathering evidence, and then she just pulls out her phone, says she has recordings of Patricia coaching Raymond on what to say to Cassandra. Patricia gasped out loud. Raymond's lawyer tried to object, but the judge overruled him. And then Wanda revealed that apparently this wasn't the first time Patricia had manipulated a family inheritance. She'd done something similar years ago with my grandfather's brother's estate. I had no idea about this. Patricia actually jumped up in the middle of court and started yelling that Wanda was lying. The judge had to order her to sit down. And then Wanda produced these emails between Patricia and Raymond, where they were literally discussing using Cassandra's confusion as an opportunity. The judge called a recess after Patricia basically had a breakdown, crying. When we came back after a few hours, the judge invalidated Raymond's will due to the overwhelming evidence of undue influence and lack of testamentary capacity. The court reverted to Cassandra's previous will, which left 60% of her estate to me and 40% to this scholarship fund for English education that she'd always been passionate about. The aftermath has been a lot. Patricia's power of attorney license got suspended pending investigation. Raymond's company put him on administrative leave while they do their own ethics investigation. And then several family members came to apologize to me, including my dad. He was crying and saying he should have trusted me. I said thanks, but I'm not ready to forgive him yet. And I'm not. Maybe someday, but not right now. I know that probably makes me sound like a bitter person, but he chose to believe I was financially abusing Cassandra without even asking me about it. That's going to take more than one tearful apology to fix. The court also ordered Raymond and Patricia to pay all the legal costs and reimburse any funds they had already taken. Raymond had already spent almost $200,000 from Cassandra's investments before the accounts got frozen. He has to pay it all back with interest. So where am I now? I used part of the inheritance to buy a smaller house near the hospital. I've gone back to nursing, but only part-time so I can volunteer with this elder care advocacy organization. I've actually started a small foundation in Cassandra's name that works to identify and prevent elder financial abuse. It feels good to be making something positive come from all this awfulness. As for family dynamics, it's complicated. I'm close with Wanda now, and a few cousins who supported me. My dad keeps trying to rebuild our relationship, but I'm keeping pretty firm boundaries. Patricia and her husband Terry are apparently separating, and Raymond had to sell his house to cover his gambling debts and legal fees. A bunch of family members suddenly want to reconnect now that I have money. Funny how that works, right? My Aunt Debbie, who didn't return my calls for months during the trial, now wants to grab lunch and catch up. Yeah, no thanks. It's all bittersweet, honestly. I'm grateful for the people who stood by me. Brett, my lawyer, Wanda, my old nursing colleagues. And I find peace knowing that Cassandra's true wishes were honored. Anyway, thank you all for your support throughout this nightmare. Your comments on my previous posts helped me stay strong when I wanted to give up. Some family relationships are probably broken forever, but I'm building a new support network and focusing on honoring Cassandra's legacy by helping other vulnerable elderly people. Edit. Wow, thank you all for the kind words and support. I'm trying to respond to as many comments as I can. Edit 2. A lot of people are asking about Brett. We're just friends right now, but yeah, there might be something developing there. It's all very new, and I'm trying not to rush into anything while I'm still processing everything else. Edit 3. To those asking if I'm in therapy, yes, I started seeing someone about 2 months ago. The grief from losing Cassandra got all mixed up with the stress of the trial, and I wasn't handling it well. It's helping a lot. Edit 4. Someone asked about the house. I decided not to keep Cassandra's house even though I could have. Too many complicated memories there. I sold it and put most of that money into the foundation. The smaller place I bought is perfect for me. Edit 5. For people asking about my career, yes, I'm fully back to nursing now. I'm working in geriatric care, obviously, and it feels really good to be using my skills again. The part-time schedule lets me balance the foundation work too.